Hi everyone, welcome back to rawsynergytv. I want to take this opportunity to share some updates on what's been happening with me and also answer a viewer's question about raw food struggles and wanting to know more about my raw food struggles and looking for a little bit of inspiration. The first thing that I want to tell you about is I did my first 3-day water fast over 4th of July, and that was really interesting for me because my very first water fast that I did right before I switched to raw was very difficult. It was a 1-day water fast, and I did okay for the majority of it, but I felt really bad after like 24 hours. So I've always been really concerned about doing another water fast. Like when I did my very first one, the 1-day water fast, I said, I'm never doing that again. So never say never. I felt really ready this time. For a very long time, I've been hearing a lot of really good things about water fasting and how great it is for your body, especially in terms of healing. And I really, really want to heal my food sensitivities. So around 4th of July, I started paying attention to my digestion more and noticing that I wasn't feeling hungry. And I just really felt like maybe it was time to give my digestion a break and see what happens. So it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. It wasn't anything that I really prepared for or really planned. I actually had quite a bit of food in the house, and that's one thing that's kind of been holding me back, is that it was summer and there's just so many good foods available right now, and I just decided to do it. And I was amazed that I didn't have really the same experience that I had last time. Last time, after about 24 hours, like when I woke up the next day, I was so lightheaded and so faint that even though I got out of bed slowly, I was seeing spots everywhere. My heart was just racing. I didn't feel like I was breathing well, and I literally crawled my way from my bed to my refrigerator and drank a smoothie that had been prepared like the day before. And I was just so relieved to eat. Like, it was just such a crazy experience for me. So this time, it was much smoother for me, much more comfortable. I felt, even though I didn't really prepare myself for this, I was kind of preparing mentally, feeling like I was building up courage to be able to do it. And I actually didn't really plan on how long I was going to do it. I just decided I was going to do it and kind of play it by ear and see what happened. Long story short, I ended up doing 3 days, and it was very comfortable for me. I didn't have any major issues, no major discomforts that were like overwhelming or anything. So it went really well. I was actually really surprised, and that was really interesting to me. So since then, it's been about 19 days since I did the water fast. And I have to say that I am able to eat a lot more tomatoes than I was before. I notice that I'm not breaking out when I add more. And I notice that my skin texture is remaining pretty much the same. So that is really, really exciting to me. I still feel like it's a little early to be celebrating, but I do feel like it's a really big step in the right direction. I feel like I definitely did some healing during those 3 days. Whatever it was, however big or small, I feel like it really did help. So I'm excited about that, and I'm really interested to start slowly trying some other acid fruits to see what happens. And I actually did try eating 2 strawberries, and normally I would break out really uncomfortably, always right here around my ears. It's very strange. And I didn't have any reaction, although I did only eat 2 strawberries, but still in the past when I would even eat 1 strawberry, I still feel like I would break out. It's crazy how sensitive I was. So hopefully that's a really good sign. Again, I'm not celebrating because I do feel it is early, but I'm hopeful. So that's really exciting for me. The other news is that my husband and I have started working with a personal trainer twice a week, which is very exciting for me because I really want to build up my strength. And it's very interesting because my typical exercise routine has always been walking outside in nature, hiking, yoga. I've been rebounding on a rebounder. And it's very, very different when you switch to strength training and lifting weights and just like really doing different exercises. I noticed that my body was just so used to doing all the exercises that I typically do that when I started strength training with a trainer, and I've only gone twice now, but it's so different. So I'm really working muscles that have never been worked or haven't been worked in a really long time. So it's really interesting to see how much effort and how different it is when you switch your routine up. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things go over the next month, working out twice a week with a trainer, and I'm still continuing to do other exercises in between. So now I'd like to just address the questions that came in from a viewer about my raw food struggles, because I think it's important for everyone to realize that switching your diet and your lifestyle is a process. It's something that takes time, and for most people, it's not just a quick 180-degree turn. It's not just an about face where one day you're heading this way and then the next day you're heading this way and you never look back. There are some people who do that, and that's awesome. And it's amazing if you can do that, but not everyone can do that. So it's really a huge process to be able to prepare your mind, prepare your body, and change directions. So for me in the very beginning, this person wanted to know more about my struggles, and I think also they were asking, are you still struggling? Are you going through any struggles now? And in the very beginning, I struggled because I loved salty, crunchy things like chips and salsa and popcorn and any kind of chips or crackers or things that were crispy and crunchy and salty. Like those were the things that I just could not get enough of. And my other vice was always vinegar salad dressings. Like I was always a huge salad person. I loved salads. I loved the pungent vinegary dressings, and that just made the salads for me. Like that was like what just made everything so yummy and delicious. And so that was really hard for me to let go because I ate salads every day, even before going raw. Like I just always, fruits and vegetables agreed with me the most out of anything that I ever ate. And I used to always tell my husband, if I could just live off of fruits and vegetables, I would be so happy. Because back then, I didn't know that it was possible. So I was just thrilled when I found out about 80-10-10 and this lifestyle. So, it was amazing for me. But yeah, I really struggled with letting go of those particular foods. So in the very beginning, for me, as I was transitioning, or basically my biggest thing was that I transitioned to raw food. Like when I made the decision, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm eating raw food. And I never ate another cooked meal. Like I never sat down and had like a meal of cooked anything. But I did from time to time have like a handful of popcorn or a handful of chips. And it was really hard because at that time my husband was really into like, he was into healthy crackers and like whole grain stuff and more healthy chips like baked chips and things like that, and popcorn. And so things like that, like that was hard. So from time to time, like I would really have cravings for that stuff. And I would allow myself to have like a little handful now and then, like if I needed it, maybe like a handful of popcorn at night if I was like really struggling. And so I would just allow myself to have a little bit of it, but I never went overboard and made like a huge meal out of any of those snacks or anything. And also the vinegar. I would make salad dressings without oil with the vinegar and other ingredients that were more healthy. But that would be a thing, like at the end of the day, if I just needed that stimulation on my taste buds, like I would allow myself to have a little bit of vinegar with some lettuce and try to get myself to get past it. And I also want to say that it's not bad when you're interested in following this lifestyle if you do have a cooked meal from time to time, or even if you are just doing raw breakfasts for now and your lunch and your dinner is still cooked. It's like you take it as you're ready. You do what feels right to you and go at your own pace, and don't push yourself into a corner where you're so uncomfortable and so miserable and you're struggling really bad to the point where then suddenly you binge on like really, really bad things. Like for some people, it just really helps to go at your own pace, and as you're ready to let go of certain foods, then you let go of them, but you don't let it really control you or make you feel like you're trapped in a corner. I mean, that's no fun. That's not what this diet is about. This diet is about eating really delicious foods that sound good to you and make you feel really good. And if you're not in the mood for that at this moment, I mean, I wouldn't say go and eat a triple bacon cheeseburger, but if you're craving something like that in the very beginning, like I always say, try to find a healthy dish that represents that. If it was me, I personally would look for a healthy substitute, something that would satisfy my craving for that particular food, but would be a healthier version. That's one of the reasons why eating gourmet raw food in the very beginning, some of the more higher fat food versions, tend to make it a little bit easier while you're transitioning, because they do tend to mimic cooked food really well, and they do satisfy those cravings. And that's one thing that did help me a little bit in the very beginning, was having some more gourmet type dishes. However, I obviously think that the sooner you can transition to low fat, the better. But even eating cooked vegan is a way better option than eating a lot of other things that are out there. So it's really important to just go with what feels right for you and really listen to your heart. I think most of us are drawn to this lifestyle because it just makes sense. So back to my raw food struggles. In the beginning, when I was craving the salty, crunchy things, when I was ready to move forward and stop snacking here and there on the old type of foods that I was eating, I decided to switch to eating foods like celery, spinach, chard, cucumbers, tomatoes, melons like cantaloupe or Tuscan melons, and drinking coconut water. All of those foods have a really great salty and sometimes crunchy texture, but they all really help to satisfy my salty, crunchy cravings. But in addition, as I mentioned before, I would also make raw salsas and use romaine lettuce and cucumbers and other crunchy vegetables that were great for dipping, like either zucchini or red bell peppers or yellow bell peppers, and use those, and even using celery as a chip, because it's so crunchy and so salty and flavorful all on its own. So those are some things that really helped me to get past my cravings for salty, crunchy things in the very beginning. And then as for the dressings, I really just tried to wean myself from the vinegar type dressings as much as possible when I was ready. Whenever I would make myself a big salad, I would always use a fruit-based dressing. I would never go overboard and use like a vinegar type dressing. I always used the fruit-based dressings to get myself used to eating that way, used to eating those flavors and having that type of texture of a dressing. And then if I still at the end of the night was like, oh gosh, I really needed to have that pungent flavor on my taste buds, then I would make up like a small amount of like a vinegar dressing and just have a little bit just to get myself past it. Now for some people, that can be a dangerous step, especially if you're craving more of the unhealthy foods like animal product type foods or heavy fat, sweet type of foods like cakes or cookies or whatever. That can sometimes, for some people, one bite leads to another and then it just kind of snowballs. So you obviously have to know what your boundaries are, know where your tipping point is. And if you are the type of person who can't just eat a little bit of something, then you're really going to need to search inside yourself to find that strength to get past those cravings and really work at finding some healthier alternatives so that you're not binging on really unhealthy foods, because that's not good. That's why you're here. That's why you're learning about raw foods and getting into a healthier lifestyle. So you don't want to go that route. So obviously there is a balance and everybody's different. I also noticed that for the very first time in a really long time, last week I started having cravings and I didn't really know what for. I just wanted something different. And I'm kind of thinking that it may be that my body is ready to branch out and try some different foods that I've kind of been avoiding out of not wanting to have the issues with my skin. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's time to really start branching out and try some different foods and just see what happens. When I did get those cravings, it wasn't like I wanted to eat pizza or anything bad. Those kinds of foods just don't appetize me. I just don't see them as food anymore, but it was like I just needed something different from the foods that I had been eating. And so I really do feel like maybe that was my body saying, hey, let's branch out and try some different things. So that was very interesting to experience that. And it's so important when you do have this type of cravings to really just kind of sit back and be the observer for a while and see if it's just a temporary thing that comes into your awareness and that then kind of goes just as quickly, or if it really stays and persists and kind of annoys you until you do something about it, then, you know, that's where maybe looking at some healthier versions of whatever it is you're craving might be something to look into. So this person also wanted to know if I was still having detox symptoms. And I would say for now, my body seems to be pretty balanced, with the exception of I have tried adding lettuce back into my diet, but it just seems like my body just doesn't want that right now because my eyes get really, really bloodshot and red and really swollen. I think it was a week after my fast, or maybe 5 days after my fast, I was craving a salad, and I had a really large mixed green salad one night, and the next day I woke up, my eye was really swollen and red and puffy, and it's actually still just a little bit red. And then the next night I tried having just a romaine salad because I really enjoyed my salads. I just love salads. And so I had a big bowl of romaine and some other ingredients like cucumbers and some tomatoes and things like that with a fruit dressing. And then the next day I woke up and my eye was even more swollen. And then I think it was the third day, that was it. After that I was like, okay, I need to cut back on the greens. And then the third day I woke up and my eye was so swollen. It was like swollen halfway down my nose. Like it just was just huge, and it was awful looking and embarrassing. And so right now, for some reason, my body's just not ready to have greens. And so I may try just eating them a little bit here and there just to kind of get my body used to eating them, just because sometimes I just really love eating lettuce. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't really consider that a detox though. I just kind of feel like that's my body saying, please don't give this to me right now. But I don't know. I'm not absolutely positive on that, so that's kind of up in the air. I really don't feel like it's a detox symptom. I just feel like it's my body trying to push out whatever it is in the lettuce that's irritating me. I had hives after eating the lettuce, obviously, still. So that's something that still needs to be cleared up, and who knows, maybe in another couple of months, or maybe during winter, over the holidays or something, I may do another 3-day water fast and just see what happens. Now that I know that I'm capable of doing at least 3 days, we'll see what happens. The interesting thing is that our bodies are always detoxing. That's one of the brilliant parts about the human body, is that it's constantly cleansing. It's constantly turning over new cells and shedding old cells, and we're constantly renewing on a moment by moment basis. And the body is constantly pushing out toxins that come in. So even if you're not necessarily ingesting toxins, if you're eating 100% organic and you're really, really careful about everything in your environment, you're likely still going to get toxins from the air outside and just from certain things that you come into contact with, whether it's when you go to the store, and there's all kinds of stuff everywhere, and that your body becomes exposed to this stuff, and so it's always trying to cleanse and renew. And when you're really healthy, you don't notice those things. When you're not that healthy, then you start having cold and flu-like symptoms, and your head fills up with tons of mucus and starts letting go of all of that. And your skin, you'll see stuff coming out of your skin, whether it's pimples or boils or whatever, stuff your body just cleanses. That's what it does. And it's amazing how intelligent the body is and how good it is at clearing things out for us without us even trying. So that's the great thing about following this lifestyle, is that you really clean up your lifestyle, really take care of your health, really eat a good clean diet of amazing fruits and vegetables, and you stay hydrated and you exercise and you get sunshine and you try to get fresh air wherever you are if you can. And that really helps your body to be able to function at its peak. And then you don't notice things like colds and flus and other types of things that would typically pop up on your body, or reactions that you might have to certain things. You won't have those reactions, and your existence will be very comfortable and very smooth and easy. And if you can, challenge yourself when you're tempted with a lot of different foods and you're feeling like you really want to make this diet work. Sometimes it can really help to challenge yourself and say, okay, I'm going to do 2 weeks and I'm just going to stick to this diet. And then after 2 weeks, whatever happens, fine. But for this 2 weeks, I'm going to commit to sticking to it and really seeing what happens, seeing how my body reacts and see how much better I feel after the 2 weeks. That way, you're not feeling super cornered or super pressured. You know it's just a short amount of time. And then after that 2 weeks and you see, wow, I was really able to do it, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I actually really enjoyed it. Or, maybe this certain aspect was a challenge and I need to figure out how to work around that challenge. But for the most part, this really was a great experience, and now I can move forward. And even if I have a cooked meal from time to time, maybe you're going to commit to only having a cooked meal a couple times a week until you get to the point where you're only going to do it once a week. And then suddenly you just one day go, I don't need to do this anymore. I'm really happy with the raw foods and I'm going to just stick with it. You just follow what feels right to you at wherever you're at in your journey. It's all relative to you and where you're at and where you want to go. So there's so many amazing changes and amazing benefits that are available if you do decide to start incorporating this lifestyle into your life. And the only way to know is to try. And like I said, even if I have so many people who message me and say, raw foods is not the only way to go, and there are other healthy benefits from eating other foods. And I say, exactly, you're right. And not everybody is up for committing to this type of lifestyle. It's very different. And if it doesn't call to you, then there's no sense in you wasting your time if you're not feeling it. But there are so many people who are feeling it, and that's why they're drawn to these videos, and that's why they're drawn to searching out this diet and finding out more about it. And there are amazing benefits. I am living proof of the amazing benefits of this way of living, and I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm just here sharing my experience and sharing how I've made this work for me and how you can make this possible for yourself as well if you choose to do that. But again, I'm not here saying this is the only way. Of course it's not the only way. There are many ways to live. We've evolved for a very long time eating all different kinds of diets and lifestyles. But for the most part, from what I've found for myself, this is what's worked the best out of all the different things that I've tried. And I've tried a lot of different diets, and I've eaten everything from animal products to a vegetarian diet to all different kinds of things. And this was the thing that worked for me and that stuck. So it's all in what works for you and what you feel drawn to. And I support you in your journey, whatever that is, whatever it is you choose. So wherever you are in your journey, if eating a diet of fruits and vegetables sounds really tantalizing to you and sounds like it would be really great to give your body a break from eating processed foods that are just overloaded with things that your body really doesn't know what to do with, and you really want to achieve a great deal of health and vitality, then I highly encourage you to jump on board and try this out, because you never know until you try it. And even if you're struggling, please know that you're not alone. And if you stick with it, the rewards are so great. So I hope that sharing some of my early struggles and some of the things that I'm going through now are helpful and even motivating for you. It's really exciting to see some changes and to feel the desire to now be working with a personal trainer and really strengthening my body and seeing more about what I'm capable of. And I really appreciate the fact that all of you are a part of my journey and that you all share your journey along with me. So thank you for that. And that's it for this edition of Raw Synergy TV. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.